Well, good evening, and here we are at our July Facebook Live Town Hall. This will be the last one of these we have before the August primary, which is coming up in 2 weeks from today. And I'm going to admit, starting to feel a little bit, starting to, feel the anticipation and know what's coming. So, all right, just checking to make sure this is working, so it is. Whoop. Just making sure it works. So, like I said, I'll be checking the screen here in case you guys have any questions coming up. So, if you have them, feel free to comment on them, and we'll get going here. Let me make sure I'm centered. It's the joy of doing this with the better camera on the back of the phone is that I have to adjust by staring at the screen to make sure that it's facing the right way and I'm centered and all that good stuff. So, well, here we are once again live from my home here in Shelby Township, and again, this is the July Facebook Live Town Hall, and I'm here to answer your questions and talk about some of the issues that are be coming up here in the next 2 weeks as everyone goes to the polls. In fact, according to the records that I get, about 2,000 of you have already turned in your ballots, and I'm hoping a majority of you have already cast your vote for me, because that would be a great start to have those votes in the bank. And actually, as I've been going door to door, I've had a lot of people say that they've already voted for me. So, it's a great feeling to know that, the things I'm saying, the message I'm delivering, and, the experience I have and that I want to bring to Lansing as your next state representative, it seems to be, resonating with people. And it's really a humbling feeling. You start something like this. I was just going through my Facebook before I started this video, just organizing a few things. And, I announced this campaign on September 17th of last year, which was Constitution Day. I felt that it was a nice symmetry to announce it on Constitution Day as someone who would stand up for the Constitution, both the United States and Michigan's. And, to be here, July 24th, it's amazing how long ago it feels like, but how it almost feels like yesterday in certain ways that we started this journey for, this campaign and, coming up on the August primary, and if I'm successful in that, on to November. In fact, one of the two Democratic candidates has already challenged me to a debate, which I told him that's a little presumptuous, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. So with that, let's get to some of the things that are going on. I do actually have one question that someone sent via instant message a few hours ago, but I'm going to get through a couple of things first, and I'll get to your question, Jessica. Just from being out on the doors the last few weeks since the last time I did this, I've been very happy with the July weather. I haven't had to melt. There were a few hot and humid days there, but we had that really bad thunderstorm last week on Monday, and since then it's been a relatively cool out, for summer. Unfortunately, I did have to come off the campaign trail for a couple of days because Monday night, that name of that storm actually, I was rearranging some of my yard signs, and actually one of them poked me in my right eye. No worry, I'm fine. I'm obviously fine, but had to go to the optometrist. They had to put a contact lens as a Band-Aid and, some drops, and I healed up, in a couple days. But, not fun, but one of those things that just, unfortunately happens. So, it's good to, it was actually nice to get a couple of days rest, because one of the things they did is they dilated the eye, so I couldn't tolerate sunlight even with, I think, 2 layers of sunglasses. So, I couldn't go outside for about a day or two, but... So, but it was good to get have a couple days, recharge the battery, even though it wasn't, ideal timing. But, accidents happen, 'tis life. In fact, my brother, in his infinite joyous wisdom, said that I should turn it into a campaign slogan that I'm giving my right eye to be your next state representative. I don't think that's completely true, and it's a little bit extreme, but again, my brother does have a good sense of humor. So, as with always, the things that keep coming up when you're talking outdoors is the roads. And I've been over roads every single one of these town halls. Just as a quick recap, our funding formula is way too old. It was developed around the time we were developing the interstate highway system. We were building the freeways. The counties make the same amount of money as the state does. I think that that's a disparity because the counties maintain 10 times as many roads as the state does. So, I'd like to readjust that funding formula, send more money down to the counties and to our cities and villages who maintain a vast majority of the roads. Now, don't get me wrong. The roads that MDOT maintain, which is anything with an I, a US, or an M in it, are important roads. Those are the most trafficked roads. Those are your freeways. Those are things like M59, M53, Gratiot, Groesbeck, the big, heavy roads that handle a lot of our industrial traffic. But, our counties need roads too, because especially like here in Macomb County, we have issues such as, what's it called? We have issues such as Mound Road, which, as you all know, has a lot of issues with it. So, okay, this doesn't show like I'm streaming right now, so hopefully this is still working. So one of the things that's going on, hold on, let me just check. Yeah, I'm still going. Oh, great. Okay, so my computer is the one having the problem, so this is gonna be a fun time. This is the joy of live TV, folks, or actually live internet streaming, as this one goes. So, all right. So let me just put this back up for myself. Everything refreshed. So again, Mound Road, my wife's family business is on Mound Road. It's at Mound Road and 16 Mile, and she's watching, so hi, Jennifer. And she just told me it's working, so thank you, Jennifer. Like I said, it froze here a moment on the screen. So, one of the lines I've been saying, which is a little bit hyperbole, but it is kind of also true, is that their family business is at Mound and 16, and my wife drives a Jeep Wrangler, and I drive a Chevy Equinox. And she almost doesn't trust me driving on Hull Road or on Mound Road to come to the office if I ever need to, because she has the car that's more designed for off-roading, which is kind of what it feels like on Mound Road at times. Now, I know they're going to be resurfacing it, and they got some federal grants, state grants to try and reconstruct it, I believe in 2021 or 2022, but we can't just keep doing this over and over again expecting the same results. We need to look at how are we building our roads? What are we doing them with? And are we really enforcing the warranties on the roads from the people who build them? Because, if a road fails, we should look at the person who built it. It isn't our fault for it failing. We know we know that you're going to have traffic. You're going to have the heavy truck traffic. Mound Road is urban off-roading. Thank you, dear. That's exactly what you've told me. So, that's one of the things I've been talking about. Another thing that's come up more recently, though, and I've been knocking in some of the areas around here in Shelby Township, as they've been talking about roads, but also in terms of with development. Now, we've had a lot of development here in Shelby Township over the last couple of decades. In fact, my wife tells stories about how when her family first moved out here, that she lived at 24 and Shaner. Those were her parents' houses. It was dirt roads. It was farms, backcountry, and now it's a suburban landscape. And people are saying, well, our roads aren't keeping up with our development. And I agree with that. And unfortunately, there's not much I can order at the state level to do, because that's something that Shelby Township, Wash Township, Bruce Township have to work in conjunction with the County Road Commission, because as you probably know, the township doesn't maintain their own roads. The county maintains roads. The counties make those decisions. So, the townships can contribute, the townships can say, this is what we need as a priority, but it's up to the county to actually do the work. And so, if the township is developing faster than the county can keep up with the roads, this is some of the issues we run into. Like here in Shelby Township, one of the more dangerous intersections that I'm remembering off the top of my head right now is 23 and Shaner, because that's where Shaner goes from 5 lanes down to 2. And also 23 is a very high traffic area. So that's why it's a dangerous intersection. So that's why we see is Shaner going to be widened going north? I know Hayes, they just widened it up to 23. Are they going to go up to the traffic circle at 25 maybe at some point? Because they just paved Hayes from 25 to 26. So as we keep this growth north, our roads do need to keep up with that development. So that's something that we need to look into. And again, that goes back to why our counties need more of the resources, because this is where the development is, and we need to benefit all of our counties because, again, they maintain most of the roads. So that's what's come up with me. There's been a couple of other, issues. Everyone has something individual, but, that's some of the bigger issues that have been talked about. So I'm going to get to some of the questions you had, and I'm going to start with, and I'm just checking to see if anyone's asked anything else. It doesn't look like it. And I'm going to get to what Jessica, I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name because I already forgot it. She asked me, what's my feeling on the Great Lakes? Pretty straightforward question, and hopefully a straightforward answer. I grew up in Michigan. I love the Great Lakes. I've been, one of the things I've truly missed about campaigning these last few months is I haven't been able to go out on Friday morning and go walleye fishing with my father and my brother out on Lake St. Clair or on the St. Clair River. So, I really, believe in protecting the Great Lakes. I love the Great Lakes. There's a lot of issues with the Great Lakes that we need to take care of. I mean, it's an incredibly rich ecosystem that has a great impact on our economy. That's why we have to manage our commercial fishing, because we don't want to, fish species to death. We want to make sure that we keep it, as many chemicals out as possible, because we don't want spills happening in there. Say it how it's spelled, Metkovich. Thank you. It's actually, I remember reading the question in Instant Messenger, and I remembered your last name started with M, and I didn't want to look it up and cause a delay. So, Jessica Metkovich. I'm Polish, I should know how to do that. So getting back to that, so those are some of the things that, we need to look at. I know one of the big issues going on with the Great Lakes right now is the Enbridge Line 5 situation up in the Straits of Mackinac, where we have a 60-year-old pipeline running underneath the Straits of Mackinac. Part of it is, just right there. Some of it is by the lake bed. Some of it's supported by beams because of the erosion underneath it. And it hasn't leaked yet, thankfully. But there has been a few incidents recently. The most recent one I can remember was a boat which was dragging an anchor it wasn't supposed to be dragging, hit it. Again, there was, of course, damage. You're going to hit metal with metal. There's always going to be some damage. But luckily, it didn't leak. Luckily, nothing happened. So I do believe that in the long term, we do need to look at the replacement of Enbridge Line 5, especially in the current state it's in, where it's exposed to the lake bed, and people who have, who do, not everyone's going to be smart with their anchor. You're not supposed to drag an anchor, but some things happen. Also, freak accident, something could happen where a ship sinks, or, we've had cars unfortunately fall off the Mackinac Bridge as well. So there are freak incidences that can happen. So I think there was a plan that I read about where they would bury a large tube that would have that pipeline and other utilities run through it, but also would have room to, inspect it and have people come through and inspect it, and it would be protected from the elements, which I like is a good idea. And I know there are people saying, well, why do we have to replace it all? Why do we have to replace it all? Well, I hate to say this line because I kind of stole it from Superman, but what can I say? They have a better writer than I do. Statistically speaking, using an oil pipeline is the safest way to transport oil and natural gas. Now, I know some people don't like oil and natural gas. They'd like us to move away from it. And in the long run, I think technology and we will be able to innovate away from those things. But until that time happens, we need to continue to rely on that resource. And again, pipelines are safe when they're well maintained and nothing happened to them. We have an oil pipeline, we have a couple of them that I believe run right through Shelby Township. I know that when I was out knocking doors in a precinct the other day, I actually saw signs, and it says danger, oil pipeline buried here. And there you could see the strip in each direction from where the sign is. It shows where there's a pipeline, because they keep it clear so that they need to do something, they can get down to it. You're not going to build on top of it or anything like it. So it is the safest way to move the resource. So, we need to do that, because I don't want that many trucks that would have to carry that much oil and natural gas to have to cross the Mackinac Bridge, or that many train cars. That would be an additional burden. And yes, if a truck gets in an accident, it's a localized spill, and if a Enbridge were to leak, it would be a bigger problem in the Great Lakes, obviously. But again, it's one of those things where, yes, when an airplane crashes, it's terrible, but it doesn't happen that often. So that's where I say, statistically speaking, it is the safest way to move those products. Another thing on the Great Lakes, though, goes back to when I worked for Congressman Thad McCotter. And I actually, as a legislative system, I held numerous legislative portfolios. And one of them was the environmental and energy ones. And on the environmental and on the natural resources one, we had a lot of issues dealing with Asian carp. Now, a line I always said is one of the reasons we never were able to get a deal on Asian carp is because the one state who doesn't want to do what is necessary to keep this dangerous invasive species out of the Great Lakes is Illinois, because the best solution, the best ultimate solution would be to separate the Chicago River from Lake Michigan. That way they can't physically make it through. But because they use the river for various things, they don't want to separate it, so that's where it goes into that. And of course, the person who was the number 2 person in the Senate at the time was Senator Dick Durbin. This is when the Democrats were in the majority. So he wouldn't let a bill through that was supported by every other state that uses the Great Lakes that says, we want this cut off, we want this fixed. Now, I do know there's been some further movement on that, and hopefully the electronic barriers that are in place will continue to hold, because if Asian carp in mass make it into the Great Lakes, it's going to make the Great Lakes almost unusable because of how, if you've seen the videos, you go through there with an engine, they jump, and they're so big they can physically hurt you. So, that was the other thing that I remember working on a lot that I, really believe that we need to make sure we work on is our invasive species problems. And I know there's things that we can work on with that. I personally know, we know in Lake St. Clair, when we're out fishing there, that one of the reasons the water's so clean is because the zebra mussels eat all the, stuff that floats in the water, and that's why it's so clean. And that's why it's actually a little bit harder to find certain fish, because they like to hide in the dark. And because the water's so clean, if it's only 3, 4, 5 feet deep, you can literally see the bottom. which, is nice to see the bottom of the lake, but when you realize that that means the fish have to hide deeper and hide in the weeds and stuff like that, you realize that, it's not all, it may be aesthetically pleasing to look at the lake at the bottom, but it's not, ecologically friendly. And the last issue, of course, more of a local issue here, would be the separation of sewage from sanitary sewer systems. I believe this needs to happen. The problem comes down to, where does the money come from? I know there's been bills proposed that would say we have to do this by X date. The only issue with that kind of legislation then comes that, the cities and the townships and the villages and the counties will come to say, okay, you're making us do this, how are you going to pay for it? And we'll say, well, you have to pay for it. Well, no, you said we have to do it, which is what's called an unfunded mandate. And I am generally not a fan of unfunded mandates. I don't believe in telling another body they have to do something and making them pay for it. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in unfunded mandates. So we need to work with our local municipalities, our counties, our townships, villages, cities, and figure out how can we do this. Now, me personally, if they came to me and said, we want to put in a special assessment district for everyone covered by the Macomb County Interceptor to say we're going to pay X amount of dollars per year for the next 20, 30 years to separate the system, I would take a look at that number and say, to me, that would be worth it. Or it wouldn't be worth it. But it's my decision. So that's something that I would be willing to look at, because it's my decision. It's not imposed by the state or by another elected body saying, oh no, we're going to raise your taxes on that. If it's for a specific purpose, and I know what the purpose is, and I'll be able to watch it, and again, if it creates a special fund, I have no problem with that. In fact, and again, I'm running for state representative, but on a local level, I love dedicated millages, because I like knowing where the money's going. I like specificity. My favorite is police and fire millages, because what's the thing that our local governments always say? If they can't pass a millage, we're going to cut police and fire. If it's dedicated, we know that, they have to be more honest with that. So, again, that's getting off on a bit of a tangent. So, all right. So, I hope I've answered that question, Jessica. If you're still watching, and I think you still are, if you have any other specifics you'd like asked about the Great Lakes, just feel free to comment on it. I'm trying to keep corner my eye on it, which is why I keep looking at my screen over here. So, and if anyone else has any other questions, comments, concerns, things they want to know about going into the election, because again, it is, was it 7:20? It is 14 days and 40 minutes until polls close. So, if you haven't already cast your ballot, if you're not one of those 2,000 people that have already turned in your absentee ballot, you have 14 days by which to make up your mind for who you're going to vote for to be your next state representative. Meg Harmon, following, thank you for running. So, well, Meg, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I can't check right now to see where you're from, but I really, hope that, Lindsay, Secret, good luck with your campaign, Scott. We have 2 signs on. Well, thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that. And for that reminder, we have one of my signs back here. And again, we do have 14 days left. So if you would like one of those beautiful white, blue, and black signs in your lawn, please just send an IM to this page, or just text or call my cell phone at 586-697-0184. Not right now because I'm using it. Well, you can send a text message. Please don't call right now because, like I said, I'm using the phone. Just send me a text message with your address, and when I'm out knocking doors or when I'm out and about doing some other things in the next few weeks, I'll be happy to drop them off. If you want, I can put it in your lawn for you, or if you have buried something that you want to put it in yourself, just tell me that. I'll leave it right there next to your porch, and you can put it in your lawn. If you have any, if you live on a major road, that would especially be helpful. As you know, it is kind of like weeds. They do sprout up a lot. I know me and a lot of other candidates are having a lot of those signs out there. And don't worry, at least I know in Shelby Township, I got to have them down 3 days after the election. So by Friday after the election, all of mine will be gone. I can't speak for anyone else, but all of mine will be gone. So let's see. Charlene Walker, people should know how much knowledge you have in the history of Michigan. Outstanding. Why don't you? How would you gain from your knowledge? I don't hear from any other candidates. Well, thank you for that, Charlene. That's my mother-in-law. Something I posted, or something I've been talking about, is how do I know how much about the history of Michigan? Well, I'm a student of history. I enjoy, learning about the history of this state. And also I think it's good for a person who wants to be state representative to know about the history of the state, but also know about the history of what we've done before, what we've tried before, and what failed before. And one of the things I take with that, call now and you can get a handy dandy kit. Thank you, Lisa, for your sarcastic comment about knives. But there's more. Sorry, watched too many infomercials as a kid. So That's one of the things I've talked about at Doors on auto no-fault reform. One of the issues that I've seen with auto no-fault reform in the last, the last people have tried it. We tried it last year. That didn't work. We've tried it before with previous representatives. We've been trying it for years and years and years. Is that they keep trying to roll things into a giant package, one big package that says will be, do everything. I don't believe in a one-size-fits-all solution, and I also think that when we make these big one-size solutions, we find things in them we don't like, and people find reasons to vote against them. And also, they sometimes really don't come up with good ideas. Like, one of those such incidences recently was Proposal 1, which would have raised the sales tax, changed the formula for the sales tax on gasoline, but then to get votes, to get to 67% of the votes, had all these other things attached to it that made no sense, had nothing to do with road funding, and it's why the voters looked at it and 80-20 said, no, we don't want this. So that's why I believe in targeted solutions and things that we can agree on, things that everyone can agree on, that they say, oh, we all want as part of this bigger package. Like, okay, let's get those things done. Even if it's not a giant help in the rates, at least we're making steps forward. Like, one thing everyone pretty much agrees on is a fraud authority. We want a dedicated authority to stop auto insurance fraud. I love it. Democrats love it. Right wing, left wing, independents. Everyone thinks we should not have fraud. Let's get it passed. Oh, but we needed to do that. No. That's something we can all do, and we can do it now. Let's get it done. So that's something else. I think that we need to be, we need to learn from our history. What is it George Santayana said? Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. We've tried these big solutions before. So instead, let's start going after the small things. I know the expression is don't sweat the small stuff, but the small stuff can help. Let's start sweating it. Let's go after those things there. So, Lisa, oh sure, don't mention my, I don't know if you had a question there, Lisa. And seriously, one of the best candidates out. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Lisa's actually running in the 31st District, which includes part of my old stomping grounds of Clinton Township. So if you're watching from that area, she has a primary herself. In fact, so if you want to check her out. Actually, Lisa and I were recently honored with the endorsement of the Macomb County Republican Assembly, which is a group of conservative activists who, get together and hear from speakers. They actually had a gubernatorial debate at Macomb Community College that I attended, a month ago. Unfortunately, Attorney General Schuette was not there, but Lieutenant Governor Calley, Senator Colbeck, and Dr. Hines were all there. It was a great conversation, great time, and I received their exclusive endorsement for state representative in the 36th District, as did Lisa for the state house in the 31st District. They didn't explicitly endorse all the incumbents, but I'm pretty sure they want our incumbents to come back. So if you're an incumbent and didn't get an endorsement, I think it's because we just all want y'all back. So, Charles DeWandler, favorite president of all time and why? Well, my favorite president of all time is Abraham Lincoln. He's the reason when I was in first and second grade that first sparked my interest in politics and in government and all that, and just reading this story about how this person came from nothing and worked their way up to be president of the United States was an inspiring story. And what he accomplished, this, person, I knew you were going to say that. Well, then why'd you ask the question, Charles, if you knew I was going to say that? You've only known me for 20 years. You should have known that one by now. But that is, and also that the man got us through the Civil War. This person without a college education, never was a great military leader. Those are, not an academic, not, what our typical president comes from. Washington was a general. Jefferson founded a university. Adams was an attorney of great renown. And Adams and Jefferson helped write the Declaration of Independence. These were, giants. And then we've had more recently, like, Trump is an exception because he was a businessman. But, you look before that, Barack Obama was a senator. He was an attorney. Before that, George H.W. Bush was a businessman and was a governor. Bill Clinton was a governor, attorney general. George H.W. Bush, his resume, I couldn't even attempt to recall all of it. Congressman, UN ambassador, RNC chair, vice president. Even going back to Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan were both governors. So, but Lincoln, he had one term in Congress and a few terms in the state legislature. And he had these magnificent debates with Stephen Douglas after during the Senate election of 1858 about slavery and about the issues facing the country, and they're still talked about today. How they did it, that they had these great debates in an open public square and attracted thousands of people without microphones, without nothing but just the natural projection of their own voice for all these people to hear them and to know what they were talking about and to have these grand debates about the grand issues of society. And unfortunately, this is back when the Senate was elected by state legislatures, so the state legislature had a majority Democrat, so they elected Stephen Douglas as opposed to Lincoln, who most people actually say probably did better in the debates. So, sometimes it just shows whoever wins the debate doesn't necessarily win the office, but, that's how it goes. And then, again, walked into being president because he knew how to work campaign convention mechanics and had traveled around, met people, talked to people, and he came from nowhere. Everyone in 1860 thought William Seward was going to be the next Republican nominee, and here it was, this one-term congressman and backcountry lawyer who solved a case once by looking at the Farmer's Almanac. So, that's a huge fan. Maria Lucido Kernberger, good luck, Scott. Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. I greatly do. One of the many members of the Lucido family I've met through my employment with Representative Lucido throughout the years. So I'm very glad that you were wishing me luck. I appreciate that. Let's see, let me scroll for a second, check that. Any other questions? Robin, I'm now in your district. Oh, that's good. I didn't know that. Robin, actually, long story short, was one of the lunch ladies when I was in high school, and we were friends. I was friends with her son Ryan, and I've stayed in contact on social media ever since. And you're in the district now. I didn't know you moved in. Actually, irony of ironies. I was again knocking doors the other day, and I ran into my old neighbor. From the house I grew up in. He actually just moved in across on the other side of Shelby Road from me. And, I'm just walking up to a house and, there's a bunch of construction going on. So he's just moved in, the remodeling. And, I'm like knocked on the door. He's like, can I help you? And I turn around and I look. I'm like, Sean? He's like, Scott? So there you go. So it was quite amusing to, run into an old friend, an old neighbor. And, wasn't on the list because it hadn't, updated. So just luckily that was listed as the house I was supposed to go knocking at. Otherwise, I may not have run into him. So it is amazing how, what a small world it can be. Nathan Inks asks, are you pro-life? Absolutely, I am pro-life. I am 100% pro-life from conception until natural death. Only exception I believe in is for the life or severe health of the mother. And by severe health, I mean, severe health, not, a minor thing. So absolutely am pro-life. If you want to see responses to my questions on pro-life directly, if you search out Right to Life Lifespan on Facebook online, they have the candidates who responded to their candidate questionnaire. They list the questions and the answers. You can see that I answered yes to all their pro-life questions, all 10 of them. It's right there for you to see, so I feel free to go look that up. In fact, at some point after this is over, I'll see if I can find that online, and maybe I'll attach it as a comment to this video for anyone who wants to see that. So. But to put it simply, and I've said this a couple of times, in fact, I had a phone call from someone today who got my mail piece and wanted to ask me about my position on pro-life issues, and I said the same thing to her that I said in my candidate video that I posted a week ago from WBRW, and what I've said on everything since the beginning of this campaign. I'm pro-life because my Catholic faith teaches me that, not politics. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see. Anyone else have anything going on at the moment? Let me look. No, but I see a lot of people are watching. A lot of people have joined in. So again, questions, comments. Well, since this is on Facebook, you can't throw tomatoes at me, which I always wondered, why do people bring tomatoes to a speech? Sorry, I stole that line from Batman. Again, better writers. So with that, we'll, like I said, let's take a, like I said, we're looking, I'll just keep my eye out for questions, but, let's look at some of the other things that have been going on. It's been great being out and about in the district. I have been bouncing, yes, I know, Batman Returns, Charles, I know. So I've been out bouncing and seeing, bouncing around the township. I've been up and down roads. If you saw my car, it's covered in dirt from traveling on some dirt roads, doing some doors yesterday. So, it's a great opportunity to get out there and to see the diversity of the district, which has, been amazing to me to see the diversity. I knew that we had a diverse district, but, being the campaign manager for Representative Cito and working for him is different than actually being the person getting out there and working. And to see, going from the suburbanized landscape here in Shelby Township to just the incredible rural areas of Bruce Township, and you have everything in between, it's a truly wonderfully diverse district. You have that great historical downtown in Romeo, and like I said, just 1 or 2 miles each way, and you have this just open area with lots of land. And in fact, I have a friend of mine who lives out on 36 Mile Road, has my sign there on the dirt road on the north end of the Ford Proving Grounds. So driving around is kind of fun to see that. I don't know how many people traveled on the dirt roads, but hopefully they're all seeing the sign, and hopefully they're all going to vote. Charles wants to know, where's my district? Well, not where you live, because you live in California now. But my district is about the top 2/3 of Shelby Township, Washington Township, Romeo, and Bruce Township. If you want to know specifically in Shelby Township, it gets a little squiggly because it follows the river at one point, but it's basically mostly north of 22 Mile. There's a little sliver that goes up to 23, and on the other side of the river, on the south west side of the township, I have that whole area going down to Quinder to Hall Road, then back up the river to 22. So that's basically the district. It's, like I said, very diverse. Goes from Hall Road, the golden corridor of Macomb County, all the way up to Boardman Road. So a lot of great things in between. I've had a lot of fun going around the district. Sometimes I'm out in the far-flung areas. You stop somewhere just for some reason, just for gas or to grab a bite to eat, and just random conversations with people are always kind of the most telling. It's not when you come to the door and the person just wants to hear your spiel, say, all right, I'll give you consideration. You take the piece, you take the flyer. I remind them to give me a call if they have any questions, and you move on. So. It's really quite great to see what people care about, especially when you're not coming at them with your pitch and you're coming at them with your just regular conversation. So have you been on Shelby TV? Actually, no. Shelby TV has not done any candidate interviews that I'm aware of. If they have, they haven't included me, which is probably not right. I know in the past they've had the Sterling Heights Chamber of Commerce do candidate interviews, but I don't know if they're doing that this year. Considering we're 2 weeks away from the election, I highly doubt it. I know that I was at the Bruce Township Board meeting last week, something I just wanted to, I've been going to Township Board meetings just to see what's going on. And I know I asked the representative from the MIT TV if they'll be doing any candidate-related things, and he said he wasn't sure. I know I saw a video for one of the two candidates running for Washington trustee, had some kind of video, so I don't know what they're doing with that. No one's reached out to me. I'd love to, talk to people however they want to be talked to. I know WBRW, which is Washington's local TV station, they did a candidate interview. I was given 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I actually clocked in at 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and gave my little, talk about why I'm running for this office and what you can expect of me if I'm your next state representative and what I'm running on. I'm running on what the sign back there says. I'm run on being pro-life, I run on cutting taxes, and I run on smaller government, which means eliminating programs, eliminating regulations, and repealing outdated laws, and focusing on the things that matter to you. Like I said, fixing roads, lowering auto insurance rates, repealing Obamacare in Michigan, and looking at funding for education. That's something else that's come up a lot, is education funding. I would let you put a sign on the lawn, but no one ever see it off the beaten path. That's fine, Robin. I appreciate it. One of the things I've been talking about education funding is I think we need to look at both sides of the ledger. We can't just look at, they say, okay, well, the state needs to give more money. Well, the state's funding formula is pretty much set in through Proposal A, and it's very hard to have a complete overhaul given the, especially with, we don't know what the new governor, whether they be he, she, or Republican, Democrat, we don't know what they're going to want to propose. So we're kind of in that, that transition gray area. But I do know that what I mean by both sides of the ledger is we need to look at the fact that the school aid fund, which is supposed to be for K-12 education, has some money diverted out of it for community colleges and universities, which I don't believe should be happening. The K-12 budget is for K-12. It should be dedicated to K-12. But, that's something that's on the revenue side of the equation. Looking on the spending side of the equation, one of the things that I've been talking about, and what I've heard about, what I've looked at, is we have a lot of mandates from the federal and state level that are requiring more and more administrators to be hired, more and more people who are not in the classroom or not on that direct, administrative pipeline, but are handling issues that are based on mandates. So what I'm looking at is, can we merge some of those together, or can we work inter-district things? So can we go and say, like I think I said this in my last town hall, Warren has 5 school districts. Do they need 5 people in charge of every single different thing they need to be in charge of? Or can they share it, share the resources, and put those extra resources that they have, because they're not paying someone full time, instead they're paying 1/5 of that, back into the classroom? So there's a lot of things to look at on that side, and also eliminating some of those state mandates that cost our districts money. So there's like things that we can all look at on all sides of the equation, but I think we can all agree, at least I hope so. And I've actually talked to some, teachers when I've been out knocking doors, and they all usually tend to agree when I say this. I want the most resources going towards the students. That's what is most important in education funding to me, is money to help the students. Period. End of discussion. That's what matters to me. Charlene Walker, after you win or in Lansing, we'll be able to continue to call with all of our questions. Absolutely. If I am so fortunate enough to be nominated and elected in November, I will continue to have this cell phone number. The campaign number will keep going for now until I'm no longer a candidate. Christine, hi Christine, I'll get to you in a second. I'm just going to finish answering her question. If I am fortunate to be elected, I will continue to have this cell phone number. It is, my cell phone number. You can call it. Again, please try not to call at 2 in the morning. I do like sleep. But, I will have the same phone number. You'll be able to call me, ask me questions, whatever. And, now in the past, I know other representatives have had telephone town halls where, you sit there on basically on a conference call and ask questions. But I kind of like this format. I kind of like the video format. I like being able to real-time interact, look, and see people, and be able to, they can tell what I'm, the look on my face. They can, look at me and, get answers to their questions. And usually, they say, the eyes are the window to the soul. So you can look at me and say, you can tell if I'm BSing you or not, because I try not to be a BSer. I get called on it quite easily. Jennifer can attest to that. Christina Machieski says, hi, Scott. Hi, Christina, and I hope I pronounced that right. I was at the wedding, and I knew I had to learn how to pronounce it. That was a long time ago, but I know I have seen you guys are living in Shelby, so hopefully I can count on yours and Kenz's vote coming up in the primary, so it's good to see you. I haven't seen you, as they said on a TV show I used to like when I was a kid, and I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays, so we should definitely rectify that. I'm sure Jennifer would love hearing stories about Scott when he was the new Oakland YR back in the day. So and that's actually something that, has really been a great part of this, is the amount of people from the various diverse areas that I've been involved in these last 15 years, come out to help. I was actually, we've been working on, because this Friday, campaign finance reports are due, and mine will be posted timely as is required. But, we were working on getting everything compiled so it could be put together, and it's really, really gratifying, looking at some of the people who have, supported me in this race financially. People, like my friend Dan, my 2 friends, Dan, actually, from the YRs, one from Florida, one from Indiana, who both contributed. People, who've come out of the, that I haven't seen in a long time. I ran into them, and then they've become, great friends and great contributors, like Nathan, who asked the pro-life question earlier. My friends and family, my parents, my in-laws, my wife, my grandmother-in-law, so many people, aunts, uncles. It's been tremendous, and it's been so gratifying that so many people that, I may not have seen in years, or may not have interacted with, or, like I haven't been involved at the national level of the wires in a couple of years because just, life got in the way. And to see them, come out of the woodwork and, support me financially, because they can't come and knock doors for me here in Shelby Township or Washington or Bruce. It really is tremendously nice. So Robin says you were never a BSer, always got what we saw with you, totally up front. I love that about. Well, I thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. I try not to be a BSer. I know occasionally, you gotta BS a little bit, especially when you're dealing with trying to, dealing with some other people in politics. You gotta, deal with some of their nonsense, but I do believe in being a straight shooter. In fact, one of the Shelby elected officials, who I'm not going to name, at one point in the past few years ago, said that that's one thing that he always did appreciate, was that I was a straight shooter. So I try to be. I can't you can't always reveal everything. There are things you got to be strategic about and wait in time properly, and so you can't always do everything right up front in politics. So. Some of the endorsements. I actually have another one that I'm probably going to be rolling out tomorrow or Thursday, which is from another local elected official. Will actually be, I'll give you a sneak preview. It's from the Village of Romeo. So that'll mean that with that endorsement, I will have an endorsement from a current or former elected official from all 4 municipalities in the district. I'm the only candidate that can say that. Only candidate that can say that, and there's nobody else that can say they have an endorsement from a current or former local elected official from all 4 municipalities in the district. I think it's because the people here locally know my background, know my passion, know my work ethic, and know that I will bring everything I have to this job. I will do everything to be the best state representative I can be, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So, it's gratifying to see that many people, reach out. And also, the amount of local support, that's what was most important. There are 3 conservative organizations here in the local area that have endorsed in this race. And I have been endorsed by all 3 of them. The Macomb County Taxpayers Association, endorsed me and also one of my opponents, as did the Republican Committee of Northern Macomb County. But then, like I said earlier, the Macomb County Republican Assembly gave me their exclusive endorsement. So, of 3 local conservative organizations that have issued endorsements in this race, I'm the only candidate that has all 3 of them. I'm the only candidate that has support from elected officials, current and former, from all 4 municipalities in the district. So, the local people who know these areas best are saying, this is we've met everyone, we know what's going on, this is the guy, this is who we want to be our next state representative, because we know he's dependable, we can call on him. It's why I've been going to these township meetings. It's why I went, it's kind of a funny story, when I did the eye thing on that Monday, I didn't think it was that bad. I figured it was like getting poked in the eye when you were a kid. You just hold it closed for a few minutes, it'll get better. So I went to the Romeo Village meeting with the cut on my eye. I didn't know it was a cut on my eye, but I went and, even the the village clerk kept looking at me like, are you all right? It's like, yeah, I just poked myself in the eye, I'll be fine. Thinking it was like when I was a kid and got poked in the eye with something, you just hold it closed and, you'll be fine in a few minutes. So, I sat there, listened to what was going on. There was a big discussion about a resident who wanted to have a fence on his property and their various ordinances and regulations, and it was interesting to hear what's going on at the local level. It's that's the things like I was at the Bruce meeting. I've been at Washington meetings. In fact, next week Wednesday I'll be at Washington Township's board meeting. That'll be I think the last one before the primary that I'll be attending. So it's great to get out and see these local officials and talk to them, and get out with these see the local events, local people going on, and really see what they care about, because Lansing cares about what Lansing cares about, but I'm not running to represent Lansing. I'm not running to represent, to be honest, I'm not even running to represent the Republican Party as a whole, because I'm a Republican. I'm wonderful to be one. I'm a proud conservative, but I'm running to be the representative of the people of the 36th district. That's who's most important to me. It's not the party, it's not Lansing, it's not anyone else. It's you guys, all 90,000 of you. You guys are the ones that matter to me. You guys are the reason I'm doing this. You guys are the ones that I want to represent, that I want to do great things for. So that's why I'm doing this, and I hope that you have faith in me that come 14 days and 15 minutes from now, when those polls close and they start counting the ballots, that the majority of the people who vote in the Republican primary will say, you know what, let's send Scott Sazak to Lansing. He's going to fight for us. So, and my wife is asking if anyone else has any questions, just ask Scott. This is the last chance. Like I said, I usually try and keep things between 45 minutes to an hour. We're rolling up right on 45 minutes. So let's put out a last call for questions here at 7:45. If there's anything else you want to know before I close down the July Town Hall here on Facebook Live, like I said, just put it into the comments. Jennifer is actually taken to pinning the comments of questions to make sure I see them. So, if you have a question, they said this is the last opportunity to do it here on Facebook Live. But, if you missed the video or you missed this Facebook Live and you still have questions to ask me, you still have those opportunities going forward. You can instant message the Facebook page here at facebook.com/Scott Sazak. I'm on Twitter at Scott Sazak. I'm on Instagram at Scott Sazak. I have the cell phone number, 586-697-0184. And I have the email, scott@scottsazak.com. Look back there to know how to spell it. Nathan Inks, are you looking for volunteers on Election Day? Well, I was going to save that for the close, but if that's your question, that's your question. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Election Day, Tuesday, August 7th. I am, of course, looking for volunteers on Election Day to help with manning at the polls. I have 24 polling locations here in the 36th district that cover 35 precincts. I would like to cover all of them if I can, but if, I will definitely want to make sure I get the biggest ones covered, the ones that have the most traffic, the most Republican votes. So I'm looking for anybody that can help out. But the best times for voters are probably going to be between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. and then from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. when polls close. So those are the most important times. So if you can spare one or two of those, please let me know. Send me an instant message. Send me an email. Send me a text. Call me. Do anything you can to get a hold of me. Drive by my house and leave a note under my windshield wiper on my car if you have to. But yes, I would gratefully appreciate anyone's help on Election Day. And actually, for the next 2 weeks, I'm out there every day knocking doors. I'm out there every day meeting people. If you want to help do with that, please let me know. I will gratefully have anyone help with knocking on doors. I even use a app for your phone to knock doors. So if you want to do that, you don't even have to carry around paper, pen, whatever. There's just a neat little app on your phone. I can help you with the installation, and I can help you with training on it, and so can the state party person here for Macomb County. Actually, he called me today because they're doing a final push, and they have a bet going on with Northern Macomb County versus Southern Macomb County. And if Northern Macomb County knocks more doors, he wins. And if he loses, he has to wear an Ohio State jersey. And I don't think it should subject anyone in Michigan having to wear an Ohio State jersey. So if you can come help this weekend, they're doing that big push. It would be tremendous if you could help out, to knock doors this weekend. If you can give me an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. I'm out there as many hours as my legs can handle it. So I'm out there usually 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, sometimes a little bit more if I can, get up early enough and stay out early enough. So it just depends on how long it takes me to knock doors and how many I can get to. So if you can join me this weekend, next weekend, any day in between, please let me know. I will be glad to help set you up. Tell me when you're available. I'll get you started. And on Election Day, Tuesday, August 7th, like I said, 7 to 10 a.m. or 4 to 8 p.m. If you can't make either one, or you can just do something at noon or something in the day, again, I would be eternally grateful for any and all help on Election Day and between now and then. As I said in my post earlier, when I posted the variation of the Keep Calm and Carry On meme, it's crunch time. This is why this last Facebook town hall is 2 weeks out. This is the last call for volunteers. This is the last ask. And I'm going to be, out there every day till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night whenever the sun goes down, because that's when the ordinance kicks in some townships, knocking on doors and trying to get people to, make sure they're going to go out and vote, and that they're going to vote Scott Sazak to be their next state representative here in the 36th District. So with that, it's 7:48, unless absolute last call for questions, because I see we have one last-minute joiner, our Oakland Young Republican Chairman, Sean Steele. If any of them could help out Sean, I would greatly appreciate it. Unless there's anything else, anyone else has any questions, I think it's about time we wrap this up. So, and I'm going to say this, win, lose, or draw. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for every person who's said something. Thank you to every person who's given me anything, a nickel, a dollar, $1,000. Thank you. To every person who has and will vote for me, thank you. I'm in the middle of this and I'm seeing questions. Charlene, do you have any contact with law enforcement about security center events? No, unfortunately, I have not. That's more of a local enforcement issue. So that's something that, I saw the incident at what's it called? Not Stony Creek. Partridge Creek. That was quite interesting. Some guy in a mask get up on stage and starts ranting and raving. That was really weird. Sean, what would be the first piece of legislation you expect to work on when elected? Oh dear God, there's so many things that I want to see happen first. But the first thing, honestly, that I think we're going to get done, and I think this is going to get done no matter if we have a Republican or Democrat governor, is I think the repeal of the pension tax. Absolutely, 100% is going to happen. Especially with the Supreme Court's decision on sales taxes, with that additional revenue we're going to be getting now, I think there's no excuse anymore. I think the pension tax will definitely be something that we're going to really go after first. But in terms of what my first piece of legislation is, I honestly can't tell you. I have some ideas for legislation. In fact, I have a list on my phone of just random ideas I occasionally get. But after the primary, if I'm successful in that, and between then and the general election, then between the general election and being sworn in January, that's when I'd really start thinking, okay, what do I want to do first? What do I want to do second? So I haven't gotten that far yet. So, but again, resuming what I was saying before, to all of you who've joined me, to everyone who's liked the page, every door I've knocked, who've offered me water, energy drinks, and in one case a cold beer, which I couldn't take knocking doors, but if you save that for primary election night, I might take it. Thank you. This has been the experience of a lifetime running for this office. It has been a joy. It's been a pain sometimes, you know, when not everything always goes your way. You know, hell, the poke in the eye wasn't too much fun either. But from me to you, thank you. Robin says you'll be in my prayers. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. I really do. Most importantly, though, to my wife, thank you for putting up with me doing this. To my family, my parents, and my brother, and my sister-in-law, and my new nephew, Robert, and my in-laws, thank you for everything you've done to help. I'm not going to go into detail, but I know this has been a rough time for both sides of my family for various reasons. And that we've persevered through this, and that you've supported me as much as you have through all this. Thank you. I can never, ever, ever express my gratitude properly. Thank you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that'll wrap up our July Facebook Live Town Hall. If I'm successful in the primary, I'll probably be back with these probably in September. I'm probably going to take August off and just regroup and see what I'm going to do if I do win the primary. If I do win the primary, though, I know this. I will definitely be signing up for the Romeo Peach Festival parades. That's on Labor Day if you want to walk in the parade. So keep that on your hat in case I do get through the primary. So with that, you know, hopefully I'll be back in September. And if not, well, then it's been one hell of a ride. So in the meantime and in between time, I'll catch you all down the road.